What if the biggest threat to your retirement isn't the stock market, isn't inflation, and isn't even a bad property decision, but a single phone call? Sounds dramatic, right? Except it's not. Picture this. A woman in her early 60s, retired last year after 32 years of work. CPF payouts coming in every month, a paid-up HDB flat, fixed deposits sitting quietly in the bank, untouched, exactly as planned. On paper, she did everything right. Every box checked, every milestone hit. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, her phone rings. The caller says he's from a government agency. Her name, he tells her, has been linked to a case involving money laundering. She needs to verify her funds immediately, or her accounts will be frozen by end of day. Her heart starts racing. She's never broken a law in her life, so she does what feels natural in that moment. She cooperates, she listens, she follows instructions, because the voice on the other end sounds calm, official, almost bored, like this happens all the time. Within 4 hours, close to $500,000 is gone. Not stolen through a hack, not lost in a market crash. Handed over, willingly, transfer by transfer, because the story sounded official enough and because nobody told her to simply hang up. And here's the part that should worry every one of us watching this. She's not careless. She's not unintelligent. She's exactly like someone in your own family. Maybe your mother, maybe your uncle, maybe one day you. So let's talk about why retirees specifically have become the primary target, and more importantly, how the call actually works, step by step, so you can recognize it before it recognizes you. First, let's deal with the myth. Most people assume scam victims are naive or not tech-savvy or somehow asking for it. That's comforting to believe because it means it could never happen to us, but that's not what the pattern actually shows. Retirees are targeted for very practical, almost business-like reasons. Think about it from a scammer's perspective for a second. They tend to have larger lump sums sitting in accessible accounts, CPF withdrawals, downgrading proceeds from selling a bigger flat, insurance payouts that matured right on schedule. They're often reachable during the day when scammers know working adults can't easily answer unknown numbers. And many grew up trusting formal institutions, banks, government letters, uniformed authority, the whole system that used to mean safety. That trust, which served them well for an entire lifetime, becomes the exact thing a scammer learns to exploit. Okay, so how does it actually unfold? Because it almost never starts with a request for money. That would be too obvious, and obvious doesn't work anymore. It starts with fear, or curiosity, or urgency, something small enough to seem believable, but urgent enough to skip the thinking part. An impersonation call, someone claiming to be from a bank, the police, or a government authority saying there's a problem that needs immediate action right now before it's too late. A phishing message, a text that looks exactly like it's from a real institution, complete with the right logo, the right tone, a link that quietly captures your login details the moment you tap it. A fake government notice, an official-looking letter or SMS referencing a real scheme like a tax refund, a CPF top-up adjustment, or a rebate, asking you to confirm your bank details to receive it. Sometimes it's slower, more patient, a fake investment, a friendly contact, maybe even someone posing as a fellow retiree, showing screenshots of steady weekly returns, inviting you into a private chat group where everyone else seems to be profiting quietly and consistently. And sometimes it's even more personal than that, a romance scam. Weeks, sometimes months of daily conversation, warmth, attention, someone who finally makes retirement feel less lonely, right up until they need an urgent transfer, a medical emergency overseas, a business opportunity they just can't miss.
5 completely different approaches, 5 different stories, one identical outcome. Now, here's where most people misunderstand the danger. They think the risk is a lack of financial knowledge, as if a finance degree would have prevented it. But actually, the real vulnerability is emotional, not financial. Fear that you're somehow in legal trouble, Excitement that you found a shortcut to grow your retirement faster than everyone else. Loneliness that makes companionship feel worth a small risk. Urgency that shuts down careful thinking before it even starts. A scammer isn't trying to out-argue your logic. They're not trying to win a debate with you. They're trying to bypass logic completely before it ever gets a turn to speak. And honestly, that's what makes this so different from other financial mistakes. A bad investment usually gives you warning signs along the way. You can watch the numbers slide, you can ask questions, you can pull out. A scam call gives you none of that. It's designed to compress an entire decision into minutes, sometimes seconds, so there's no space left for doubt to creep in. Think about it like this. Your financial decisions usually pass through two systems: a slow, careful questioning system, the one that reads the fine print, that sleeps on big decisions, that calls a friend first, and a fast, emotional, reactive system, the one built for genuine emergencies, like pulling your hand back from something hot. Good financial habits are built almost entirely on the slow system. Scams, on the other hand, are engineered almost surgically to trigger only the fast one. That's the shift most retirees never see coming because nobody ever taught them to notice which system they're currently using. So what actually breaks the pattern? Not intelligence, not experience, not even financial literacy. A pause. Every successful scam depends entirely on you acting before you verify, which means the single most powerful habit you can build isn't financial at all. It's procedural. It's almost boring, actually. And that's exactly why it works. If a call, a message, or a letter creates urgency, that urgency itself is the warning sign, not the emergency it's pretending to be. Real government agencies in Singapore do not ask you to transfer money in order to verify your identity. Real banks do not ask for your one-time password over the phone, ever, under any circumstance. And no legitimate investment on earth needs to be decided within the hour, no matter how many other people are supposedly already in. So the habit itself is simple, even if it feels awkward in the moment. Hang up. Call the organization back using a number you look up yourself, not one given to you in the message or read out by the caller. Talk to one other person before moving any money: a spouse, an adult child, even a neighbor you trust. Scammers isolate their targets on purpose because a second opinion, just one, is often the single thing that saves the $500,000. Here's the deeper lesson underneath all of this, and it's the part most retirement content skips entirely. Retirement planning usually focuses only on growing the number: CPF projections, investment returns, monthly withdrawal rates, the size of the nest egg. But there's a second, quieter skill nobody really talks about: protecting the number once it already exists. You can spend 30 years building a retirement fund with discipline, patience, and sacrifice, and lose a meaningful chunk of it in a single afternoon to someone who never even met you in person, who may be sitting in a call center thousands of kilometers away. That's not a market risk. That's not a planning mistake. It's a moment of trust, misplaced under pressure, engineered by someone who does this every single day. So if there's one thing to take from this video, it's this: the wealthiest, most disciplined savers are not the ones immune to scams. They're often the biggest targets precisely because they have the most to take and the least reason to expect it. Your money doesn't need to grow faster to be safer. It needs one habit standing guard in front of it: the simple, almost old-fashioned willingness to pause, to verify, and to ask someone before you act. Because the real $500,000 mistake was never really about numbers or CPF or bank transfers. It was about answering the phone and forgetting, just for a moment, that it's always okay to say, "Let me call you back."